A single geopolitical choke point is currently strangling the global auto industry, turning basic manufacturing materials into rare commodities. The era of the affordable gas-powered vehicle is over as a desperate flight to hybrids becomes the only shield against an unfixable energy catastrophe.
And profit margins, that's where it can really hurt for the automakers.
So ultimately, it just feels like an industry that was already facing all kinds of structural challenges now has a massive, let's say, cost inputs problem at exactly the time. Interestingly enough, at exactly the time that a lot of at least domestically, we saw the industry, pivoting back pretty heavily, or pivoting pretty heavily in terms of just what they wanted their lineups to look like over the next 5 years.
Yeah, look, for the GMs and the Fords of the world, it's not that big of a deal yet. But for the Middle East, it's a big region for European automakers like Renault and Stellantis. That is a big three automaker. But then also it's Toyota and Nissan. They've already talked about how the disruption of product distribution is a big deal for them. And obviously the chip sector, like a lot of chips go through there. I think that's a big problem, I think, for us here potentially down the line.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take a closer look at some of the ripple effects on the used car market and potentially the affordability picture for consumers. We have ACV Auctions CEO George Simone joining us now. George, appreciate you making the time. I want to start by going back 3 weeks, let's say, end of February 2026. We thought the world was kind of going to be one way. What were the dynamics that you were most interested in the U.S. used auto market then? And then maybe that sets the table for what we've seen so far and how that might change in the months ahead.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I think the good news is we saw some normalization of used car values. Seasonally were high. We saw a lot of demand for used cars. We're starting to see consumers really get back interested in buying new cars, where maybe in the beginning of the year things started out a little slower. So I would say there was a trend towards normalization on most of the trends that were going on in the industry, and we with a big factor being cars are the oldest they've been on the road in really ever. So there's many consumers out there that really have to take into consideration, is it a good time to keep repairing their current vehicle? So those would be some of the trends going on before the current gas crisis.
And so then we've had a couple weeks here, gas prices are soaring. I'm just curious, how quickly do we start to see potential changes, whether that's from businesses or consumers or interest on the margins, start to show up, at least given your guys' vantage point on the auto market?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, just to give folks a context, we help dealers sell over 800,000 vehicles a year wholesale on our platform. We've got about $10 billion of GMV running through the ACV marketplace. And we work with over about a third of the franchise dealers in the country. So, through those relationships and our data solutions, what we're seeing is, one, hybrids definitely went up in demand, hands down, just even over the last few weeks. Some of the diesel models started to go up in demand. And then with as far as EVs, I would say we at least seeing it flatten out. As we all know, EV values were coming down. We've seen it flatten. We'll see if they actually start to go up a little bit. But obviously, EVs have been very challenged since the administration changed a lot of the tax rules. So for now, at least the floor has been set, and maybe we'll even start to see a little bump over the next few weeks. We shall see.
Hey, George, Prost here. Talking about the bump in EVs, we're starting to see a lot of EVs come off lease, potentially a huge amount, because they started, when they released in the end of 2022, the 3-year leases are starting to come up now. Do you anticipate more EVs coming online? And then would that be a good sort of option for people looking for a cheap car, if you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, to your point of the timing, I would say a lot of these OEMs were nervous that, these residual values that were set several years ago, there was some concern on some of these leases that are going to really start to hit the market this year. So we'll see how long, this fuel crisis lasts. But if it does play out that we're really having the same conversation for many months, the timing will be really great for the captive finance companies that own these cars today, and the consumers who give back these leases. So it would be to their favor. Consumers are looking. I mean, today, on average, though, hybrids are still more popular. They're still, if you do a poll, there's more consumers who'd rather have a hybrid. But to your point, it could get a sort of a bump of popularity on EV.
So, you work obviously mostly with a lot of dealers that are wholesaling stuff and potentially selling to other dealers for their inventory needs. Coming up now with tax season, cars sort of a big purchase now. You mentioned some of the things like hybrids that are popular, but what other car body types and styles are dealers talking to you about what they want more in their inventory as we progress through 2026?
I mean, affordability has been the key theme. When you look at this, broad K-shaped recovery that everyone's really, talking about, it's really making sure you've got the products consumers need. So to your point, beyond the fact of hybrid, it's really trying to get a sweet spot. How many $20,000 cars do we have in our lot? How many $30,000 cars do we have in our lot? The average new car is a bit high right now in the 40,000 plus. So the dealers are really trying to make sure they have a mix of affordability in mind on their lot.
And George, I want to ask a little bit, not so much about the car market specifically, but really about where you guys sit within that and how the car market has digitized. And obviously we've seen a lot of headlines around AI and software pressures, and just a couple of things of how you guys are using that within your own business, and then two, just the ways that, one, I think the car market, it's become normalized that you would shop online and that you can actually complete a transaction online for consumers, and how it feels to you like this explosion of potential AI solutions could further change that market.
Yeah, we're one of the fortunate ones because we've got a team of hundreds of engineers, and we've got the resources with 3,000 people to really invest in AI. So some of the innovations we've built is we now can predict the retail price of a car within $100 what it's going to sell for in the next 30 days. We've built predictions of what the car is going to wholesale for. And why that's important to be able to predict wholesale and retail is we've built devices like a drive-through inspection device that you could go to a dealer's location, the consumer could drive through, get an entire inspection report, the undercarriage, the scratches, the dents, and then give the consumer a price. And then the dealer knows what they are likely going to sell the car for in the next 30 days if they retail it, or if they wholesale it, what they're going to get. So, with the advancements of AI and machine learning, we've really been able to take what was a complex, industry where you really need to be an expert in every car, to we're democratizing the value by allowing for just repeatability, process, great technology by leveraging AI.
Yeah, and I guess as you were explaining all the spokes of that, I was just kind of thinking all right, so 10 years ago, what, do I have no marks on any of this stuff? Like what, whether I'm the wholesaler buying from you or I'm the end consumer, how much blinder, let's say, if that's a word we can use here, was that market 10 years ago versus the kind of full picture that you and your team are able to build, and I guess it'll get more complete here in the coming years.
Yeah, I think a great way to look at your question is the industry was running on averages. So if we sold 70% of our cars the right way and 30% the wrong way, and we're still making money, it works. Where now you've got precision on what's the condition of each car. And what that does is if a consumer has a cleaner car, that franchise dealer or independent dealer is going to give the consumer even more money. And they'll likely even get more money than going to one of the big box companies online, because that's a high condition car. So dealers now don't have to use averages, and a historical industry that actually did well using averages. You'll see more and more precision, where the best cars, the good condition cars, are going to get even more value. And then for a car with lower condition, they can at least make the right decision.
All right, we'll leave it there. Appreciate the time.